after the death of Stalin, the communists realized in general that the method of control that they'd been adopting, namely brutal repression, was an inefficient method of achieving control over populations, and that it was more efficient to seek to achieve control through infiltration and deception, and through the control of the minds of the target. And so the party instructed Alexander Shelepin, who was the head of the KGB, in 1958 to develop a plan for the use of the total resources of the revolution. And the KGB and the GRU, military intelligence, were instructed to become the instruments of the mobilization of the resources of the revolution. So between 1959 and 1961, Shelepin developed, perfected, and agreed with the party the full outline of this deception plan. And the deception plan is basically a means of projecting communism into the whole of the rest of the world, and they do it through deception. This principle has been applied since 1961, and it came to its fruition under Gorbachev. Gorbachev's perestroika, which means restructuring, is in fact the restructuring not of Soviet society, although that was done for there was a certain amount of reform and restructuring to give it credibility.
Superficial.
Superficial. It is essentially the restructuring of the Western mind, the control of the Western mind. That is what it means.
Clothing of the state there, a checkerboard. Slaves wearing their slave attire. Here's a one headlight here. In Ottawa, one headlight here. Obviously he's knowingly driving with one headlight. You won't see that person getting stopped by the police either, even though that's against the law. Because the police here don't actually uphold the laws. They do the exact opposite. As you will have taken note of with them showing up to stalk and harass me. The moment I stepped out of the train station last night, when they could have been doing something productive, you know, something to help people, no. Why would they do that, right? So, for those who don't know, in this country we have a communitarian system in place. And a lot of the people who are involved in that system are not allowed to talk about it openly at all, for fear of repercussions. These people, many of them are provided with free accommodations. And, just a second here. And these things are provided by the state. But in return, if they're called upon to do something, they have to comply. Like slaves, literally like slaves. And so, once you sign on for that agreement with the communitarian state, you're essentially signing away a lot of your basic dignities in return for a few scraps of material gain and free accommodation. So while in the short term to some people that may seem very appealing, in the long term there's going to be a lot of these people who are going to realize what a mistake they've made in agreeing to this type of system. But there's another one headlight here, and there's the Parliament there. And lots of people are in red today. There's the Parliament up there. Another requirement of the communitarian system is that the people who are, you could hear that there, is that the people involved in it, you can hear them making the fake coughing noises there, the woman in red. Contrived coughing is a sensitization that is used. And they have people all around doing that. You could hear how contrived it sounded too. It's just like robotic almost. So another requirement of the slaves to the communitarian system, because they are slaves, They're not free at all. Free people don't have to put on clothing that they're told to put on. These people do. So they're told to put on specific clothing in the morning, i.e. that woman who just passed wearing the same red that they have all these other people not coincidentally wearing. And so they have to put on the clothing that they're told to wear. Sometimes that military camouflage attire, sometimes, red jackets. Sometimes that red checkered lumberjack plaid attire, again, that's representative of Freemasonry. And you see people wearing that all around too. It's not coincidental. It's not something they just saw in a movie that they're emulating. They're told to wear it. So if you have people literally dictating to you what you're going to wear, I think you can safely reach the conclusion that you're not free, that you're a slave, right? But they're okay with it. They're fine with it, these people. And they're also fine with stalking, harassing, and mobbing law-abiding citizens who have done nothing wrong. And to get them to do this, the state has to, in some cases, trick people into doing it, and in other cases, they just get people who are already deranged and psychotic and tell them that, they're doing this for the betterment of the state, and that you're going to monitor a human being in their own home. Monitor that person in their home, everything they do. As soon as they step outside, they'll send one of these people to go outside and wait for you, creepily. And so these people have agreed to do that. No one with any sense, no one who isn't deranged would agree to that. So with some of them, they have to deceive them, right? Some of them, they have to make them think they're doing something good. And so the state lies to these people and manipulates them. And then they have others who are, the Masons who are part of the system, who know what it is and who are just psychopaths who would sell out their own family members for the betterment of the quote-unquote brotherhood. So that's what they have. It's the Canadian communitarian system. You can clearly see it in place when you go down here in Ottawa, if you're awake anyway. To the untrained eye, you might not notice it right away. But if you're awake to, symbolism and the things around you, how important symbolism is to these deranged psychopaths who tell the slaves to wear specific clothing, then you'll understand. This one here. You're going to see the police pulling them over? No, the police don't uphold the law in this country at all. They don't uphold the law. They just they do the opposite. They break the law. They park on the sidewalk. They drink on the job. They traffic crack and heroin. They stage fake events in coordination with the media to deceive some segments of the population. And to do that, they utilize the aforementioned people who I mentioned previously, who are part of the Canadian communitarian system. And so those people have a vested interest in keeping these things quiet as well. So some of those people would be the ones who you see posing online as fake quote-unquote TIs to discredit, and also staging fake interactions with the police to discredit people who really expose the police. So that's what your auditors are there for. They're there to make a mockery of people who actually expose police corruption. And they're Masons, most of them. They even have Masonic tattoos, a lot of them. And they just stage interactions with the police. And the police have to do these things because their corruption is so grotesque that the only thing they can do, and their owners can have them do, is to put these little skits out to try and deceive at least some segments of the population into believing that, the people who expose them are somehow, unbalanced or whatever. It's all nonsense. It's all a stage show. The vast majority of most police interactions you see on YouTube in general are fake. The police just staging them with people. And they're meant to make the police seem professional and the people who expose them seem unhinged. So that's their own people. Those are not natural people who are actually exposing police corruption. They're Masons. They attend the same lodges as the police who they claim to expose. So, and you got to also know that there are this segment of the population that I mentioned. It's much more sophisticated than what you see on the outside. They rely on Occam's razor, the Occam's razor principle, for this deceit. And Occam's razor is the principle that refers to the simplest answer always being the correct answer. And in many of these situations, nothing could be further from the truth. What's going on is much more complex than what you see on the surface. And so Occam's razor comes in big time with regards to how these people want to kind of discredit anyone who would speak the truth about this. So they want people to, they've conditioned people already They've conditioned a lot of the people who could potentially wake up to this stuff to accept the simplest answer, the quote-unquote scientific answer, as always being the right answer. Constables, right as I leave, you can see here. As soon as I leave here, you can see this here. So as soon as I leave work, you can see. Special constables driving by, criminal stalking and harassment continuing. Constables, right as I leave, you can see here. As soon as I leave here, you can see this here. So as soon as I leave work, you can see constables, special constables. Driving by, criminal stalking and harassment continuing. And right on cue as I leave work, so they know exactly when I'm leaving work, which just provides more concrete evidence of intentional pre-planned criminal harassment. So that's the Ottawa Special Constables there that you saw, showing up just as I leave. And driving out literally right as I leave. So criminal harassment and stalking continued by the illegitimate criminals with the Ottawa Special Constables. A joke of an organization, people who do no legitimate work, paid over $120,000 a year to sit in their cars doing no work and to stalk law-abiding citizens. So you see the constables as I left work, and then the stalking Ottawa police here today. Parliament's just up the street, so. But anytime you can get these criminals on camera, you want to just get them on camera. Show they're doing nothing. They're just sitting there doing nothing. I just want to see this. Let's go back here for a second. You see he's getting paid to do nothing there. 7481. Hi. Hello. Do you know which direction is Bank Street?
Bank Street would be west. Where on Bank Street did you
On
go?
Bank Street? Yeah, I was looking for Bank and Queen. Bank and Queen.
Okay. Queens. Is this street here?
Yeah. Oh, back there. Back there.
Well, this street here, and then just it's about 3 blocks.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you do look familiar. I've seen you before. Do you remember me?
Where do you work?
Down that way, down there. Yeah, near the Chinatown area. That's where I saw you before. Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, you get around, eh?
This is sort of our areas.
McHenry. Okay, yeah. I didn't know that was your name. We spoke before, very briefly. Yeah. It would have been, I think it was Chinatown. It would have been around 2023, summer of 2023.
Okay.
Yeah. So, good to see you again, sir.
Yes.
Glad you're doing well. You take care of yourself, eh? All right. Take care. That's the stalker who staged that fake event. You'll see him in my other video. He set up a fake event with some other cops. I got his name this time though. I didn't know his name. And then I asked him. That was in 2023. It was in Chinatown. I know he knows who I am too. He was told to be there, but he wasn't right near where I am. But I figured, okay, I'll get some footage because, you know, they're stalkers anyway, so we'll get them on there. And sure enough, that guy McHenry. Now I know who he is. I also put his face in another video. So he showed up again after that incident. I'm gonna say it would have been maybe a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, at an intersection. He also showed up. Yeah. So anyway, you'll see that character there. So he just happens to be right there too. I mean, go figure, right? He's got that interesting mustache. Kind of looks like the pro wrestler, the now deceased pro wrestler, the Iron Sheik, a little bit. That's what I thought. Yeah, they staged a fake arrest of some community-based agent. And of course I put him on camera, and what do? They send him back again, and then they send him back again there. So McHenry, we got him on camera again. Yeah, he's a stalker, and you'll see him in a number of my videos, a number of my other videos. You'll see the one again where he showed up at the intersection, and then I made note in the video, I was like, yeah, they sent him back almost exactly a year to the date. Pretty close, not exactly, but close, of that fake arrest he had set up. So they probably knew that when I saw the car, I'd get some footage there. This is where I'm getting the bus here, and you can see where he was situated there. So good to get that stalker on camera again. We'll get him in the thumbnail today, or whenever I put the video up. Almost toward the end of the year. What's 2025 gonna bring? Who knows? I think there's going to be some sort of lockdown and stuff starting to happen again in 2025. I just have a feeling. We've had that amount of time where people can kind of settle back in and get used to some semblance of normalcy, even though it's not normal what's going on around us. But, you know, a short break from the absolute tyranny, and that's going to come back again. Probably 2025. Will they start it like in the winter of 2024? Maybe. Who knows? Let's see. But the power outages are going to come at some point in the not too distant future, I think. Semi-regular. They may start it off, and again, they have to make up lies for what's causing it. They'll lie about it the way they lie about everything. But they'll be cutting electricity in various areas. I don't think they'll do it all throughout the country all at once, unless they have some pre-planned disaster that's, you know, that they might use to excuse. There's another bike at it. So I think they're just going to cut it in certain areas, but we'll see. Maybe I'll be wrong about that. It could happen all around. But it'll be orchestrated. That's one thing that's important to always remember. It'll be orchestrated. They'll be lying about it. And, you know, even these people who they use in the communitarian system, with these families who they trust to do these things, who have more privileges, they don't even have clearance on when those things are going to occur. I'm sure of that. They don't know. You know, you've only got some high-level masons that know. And even that, you know, they're going to keep their mouths shut, even to the people who are, you know, other high-ranking people, unless they have clearance to talk about that. You know, when they're going to do these things specifically. I think sometimes they change their mind and you know, either push it forward or push it back a bit, depending upon what public opinion is at the time. And they can quickly gauge that with all these mechanisms they have now. So yeah, there will be something. I think 2025 is going to have some stuff going on. Yeah, hopefully not, but you know, I think it's good. I think there are things that are going to occur, some bad things, but we'll see. one thing's for sure, when they do this next thing, whatever it's going to be, it is going to be more extreme. The tyranny is going to be more serious and severe. But you've got your people who made deals with the state. Some of them are off-duty police officers who do that, firefighters. You see them showing up there. Probably about, what was it, 6 bikers showing up next to me, and look at the street here. It's about 10:40 at night now, so you see them there. Again, those are police officers, a lot of them that do that criminal stalking and harassment, who are off-duty. Military people also, and firefighters. And also people involved in criminal gangs, biker gangs. So they're all intertwined. Yeah, there's some people who say that they can see inside the home through the Wi-Fi somehow. I mean, that's not impossible, it's possible, but I mean, you would also think there's a strong possibility they could just have someone go in and plant cameras that are very, very, very small. I mean, the cameras they have now are so small anyway, they're like, but then again, if they're doing that, they'd have to replace them periodically too. Which would mean going back in a number of times. So unless you had somebody on the inside, like a contractor, and then, you know, the person who owned the home was already aware of it, then they could just let them go in and do that. I know that where I used to live, in Toronto, when it all started, they, when I took a week off, they brought a crew in that was supposed to be soundproofing the walls, and I'm fairly sure that they were putting cameras in at that time. And because they didn't soundproof the walls at all. I got back and it was just as noisy. So they were saying, oh, don't worry, we'll fix that for you, when I reported extreme noise from up above. They said, we'll soundproof the ceiling, and it should be, when you take your vacation, when you're off for a week, it should be better when you're back. So they bring this whole crew in to tear up parts of the ceiling, and I'm fairly sure they're putting cameras in too at that time. It was a perfect opportunity for them to do that, because it was a really old place. And so yeah, they did that, and the noise was just as bad when I got back. But if I'm not mistaken, I think they paid for the Airbnb that week too. I mean, that company was, things like that they would do. But when things started to change was the last year I was there. And I even noticed they wouldn't communicate with me that much. They wouldn't say that. I started to think, okay, well, am I doing something wrong or whatever? Surely they'd tell me if I was. But that's what happens when you're, you know, they're trying to get your employer to take part in it too. They have to go to them and do the whole routine where they feed them slander. I don't think they did anything like that until the last year, although I could be wrong. Maybe they did it from the beginning and they just said wait 3 years. But the last year there was a noticeable deterioration between communication with those people, and they wouldn't give me any reason why. Because I mean, I felt that I was doing the same thing. I was doing the job to the best of my ability, and they had promoted me too a number of times, given me raises, promoted me to a managerial position. Yet despite that, they didn't cut off communication. They would answer if I contacted them, because I mostly communicated with them via email anyway. But once the COVID stuff started, I also was very critical of the measures that they took. and they knew that too. So I don't think that was the only reason, though, for the stuff going on. I think there was a concrete plan that when I got in there, they would wait a little bit of time, you know, let me get settled, things start going good. 2 good years there where everything's going good, and then all of a sudden, boom, it all collapses. And I think that was probably pre-planned, although I'll never know for sure. Certainly they had things going on long before that, with just people around me being sent to do things. But it wasn't extreme or overt where you would notice it. Something would happen, then you'd have like a month or two where nothing would happen. But then, as I moved to the west area of Toronto, then there were things going on a little bit more consistently. Weird things. But I just didn't register what it was. Like, I'd step outside right away, there'd be people glaring at me and stuff like that, and I'd never seen them before in my life. Like, why are they looking at me like that? That was near the York University. So things were kind of getting weird there, but it wasn't... And now that, as I recall there, too, there was a time when the police pulled up in front of the house, and they said, hey, we're looking for a guy who lives in this house. I said, well, I'm sure it's not me, and I just jokingly, right? And then a guy came to the door and went and talked to them, who lived there as well, who was renting a unit there. But I thought nothing of it at the time. I thought, you know, I had no clue what the police, how corrupt they were at that time. I actually thought they were actually looking for somebody there, because there were a lot of different people who came and went renting there. So there was that, and then there would be weird stuff going on, people trying to provoke arguments and stuff. So that was going on there. And then when I moved, I was so happy to get out of there, and things started going really good for a while. Really good, well, for 2 years. There were small incidents here and there, but overall, in my estimation, they seemed happy with my work. Unless they were lying about all that, I don't know. I mean, you know, you don't really typically promote someone to a managerial position in a company like that if they're not pleased with your work, and give them raises and stuff like that. So they seem to be. But once the COVID stuff started, I was fairly outspoken about what I thought of it. At least 2 other people who I was working with. And there was one situation where they were saying, okay, we want everyone to wear masks while inside the buildings, their properties. And I begrudgingly agreed to it just because, you know, it was a good job. I said, okay. I was thinking to myself, it's absolutely stupid, it does nothing. But I also, you know, I'm not going to sacrifice my job because of my opinion over that. So I said, okay, I'll wear it when I'm inside. So I wore a mask while I was inside checking their buildings for them. And we had about 10 different buildings. So I thought, okay, you know what, if that's what they want, I'll do it. It's no big deal, it's just while I'm inside here. But I drew the line at wearing it outside, because I thought there's no reason for it, it's ridiculous. So then they sent an email one day, because during the last couple of years, that's primarily how we communicated, was email, because I worked a night shift and all the management were gone at night. So we communicated via email. Once in a while we'd have a meeting. Anyway, we communicated via email. So they sent out a staff email, an email to everyone who worked there, recommending, they said, well, not only are we recommending masks inside the building, we're recommending that you put 2 double masks on while on the property while outside. And I sent an email back just saying, listen, I've agreed to wear a mask inside the building. Even that I don't agree with, but I'm doing it because, you know, obviously I value my position and whatnot, which I did, and I worked hard for them. I said, but I'm not going to be wearing 2 masks while I'm outside, or even 1 for that matter. I just said that it's ridiculous, there's no reason for it. You know, you're welcome to have your opinion on what's dangerous and what's not, But I see no reason to be afraid, and I'm certainly not going to wear even one mask outside, let alone two. So they didn't respond to that email, and that was in late 2020, I believe, or was it? Yeah, I guess it would have been, or maybe around the new year of 2021. So the last year, 2021, was when things started to deteriorate, and parts of 2020, sorry. Towards the end of 2020 and into 2021, that's when things started to really get bad. And at that time they had people who were camped out across the street setting fires on a regular basis, continually coming over to the property to cause havoc. Yeah, there was a number of times, but two times at least, where they, I'm sure now in hindsight, that this was part of the whole program and all this stuff. They had a guy come across to the stairwell, well, a number of times, right in front of where my unit was, and I stepped outside and I saw this, and defecate, like right in front of the unit, and then on a side stairwell of the building as well. And then I looked at the camera, because I had a laptop with cameras all around the premises in my unit, so I could monitor everything. Because we did have a lot of trespassers. So I go over and check the cameras. I see this guy with a black hooded sweatshirt. You couldn't see his face. He had a hood over his head conveniently. He comes down to the stairwell. Looked like he had a plate of food or something. And of course, when I went and saw this at first, there was just this big mess, and it looked like spaghetti, and it looked like he had, I don't want to describe this. It's hard to describe this without being vulgar, but it looked like he had defecated into the plate of spaghetti that he threw onto the ground at the bottom of the stairwell. So as soon as you open the door, that's what you would see. So I looked on the camera. I was like, I thought to myself, surely that must have been a dog that did this. A human being would not have done this. Surely we don't have human beings that are that sick that would do something like that, but sure enough we did. Anyway, the left, when I exit, they're going to have people positioned, at least one person, like last night, along that pathway to the left. So if I go down that way, they'll have somebody as a lookout person, and if I cross and go this way up here, they'll also have people. You'll see. What did I say? You can see it right there. It's positioned at the back of the building there on a phone, so he'll message whoever and let them know I'm going this way here. We'll see where he's positioned there. Like I said, they'll have at least somebody back there. And sure enough, he's there. You can see. Because they want to keep somebody back there so they can indicate which direction I'm going. Because sometimes I'll go back this way. Sometimes I'll cross over, go directly to the back gates. Or sometimes I'll walk on that side and come around. So tonight I'm going this way. So he is there as the lookout person, as you can see there. First couple nights I came back here, there was nobody back there, but now that they know that I'll sometimes go this route, there's going to pretty much always be somebody back there. You'll see. So it's after 10 p.m. right now. The timestamp on the body camera should be close to accurate, but for the glasses, obviously the date and the time are not accurate. It's actually November 1st, 2024 at approximately between 10 and 10:05 p.m. So the area where, so outside of my apartment in Toronto, there's this stairwell that leads down to the unit, because it was in the basement of the building. So I come outside, and there's just this awful smell right away as soon as I open the door, and just this puddle of just like, I couldn't see what it was without the flashlight. So I switched the flashlight on, and I see that because the light was very dim just outside, there's a little bit of light, but it wasn't great. So I just see that it's just this mess, just disgusting, and it looked like somebody had thrown some type of food down or whatever, and there was also feces inside of it. So I was almost sick to my stomach because the smell was just awful. And so I checked the camera footage, and I see that some guy had from these tents that they had set up across the street. I guess he was from there. He came from over from that area, but I don't necessarily know that he was one of the people who was in the tents, but he was at that respite center that was there anyway. So he's wearing a black hooded sweatshirt, so I couldn't see his face on the camera. It was at a bit of a distance, but I see him go down into the stairwell next to the entrance, the unit. He takes this plate of food, in which it looked like spaghetti or some type of pasta. When I saw it, when I opened the door, he flings it down onto the ground. Then you can see on the camera, he hunches down, squats down, and defecates into the food that he had thrown onto the floor in front of the door. Now, when I first saw it, before checking the camera footage, I thought, I don't think this is a human being that did this. This must have been somebody brought a dog down into the stairwell just to let the dog relieve itself at the bottom of the stairwell. And that wasn't the only time, too. There's a number of times when I opened the door to the unit, and right away there's crap on the ground right in front of the unit. Presumably a human. So, based on that other situation, I would think maybe it was a human that did it. I don't know. It could have been somebody brought a dog down on the other occasions. But anyway, so he just takes this plate of spaghetti, throws it down onto the ground, squats down, and defecates into this spaghetti. And this was in the summer, and it was hot, and it was just awful. The smell was just overwhelming. I literally almost vomited. And so this was during, I think that would have been the summer of 2020, if I'm not mistaken. If my memory serves me correctly, I think it was the summer of 2020. But I was like, I attributed it to just the situation where, okay, you got a lot of kind of unsavory people in the area. So this is just, but there were too many incidents that were starting to happen that were really weird. Okay, so here, well, I'll cut across the field and I'll continue what I'm saying when I cut across the field here. So anyway, it was just disgusting, but that wasn't the only thing. I mean, there were so many things going on that they were doing at that time. They'd be having people set fires, and now obviously I know they were setting the fires intentionally, and the fire department would already be waiting there to come and put out these fires that they were setting, sometimes burning down entire trees. And they'd be positioned right there, and then they'd come in, sirens blaring, and then put out the fires. But still, I mean, it was coordinated arson. There's no question about that. No question. And then there's another time where I was leaving work early in the morning. I had rented an Airbnb because the noise was getting to be so loud at that time where I was living. But I was making decent money, so I thought, okay, I'll just rent an Airbnb on my days off and go up there just to get away for a little bit. So, which ironically, I still do that now sometimes when I can, although I don't make much money now. But, so I'm going up there, and it's early in the morning. What time did I get off work? I would usually work 10 till 6 a.m. So this is probably around 6:30 in the morning. And I see on the side of the road, there's this, what looks to be a fire, and a whole bunch of fire trucks all down, lined up down the street. And I see as I come close, it's a church. A church was on fire, and the brave, heroic firefighters were there putting out the fire. Now, having known, I didn't know then at the time about these coordinated arsons, that they were all pre-planned with what they were doing to that place across the street where I lived, where it was completely coordinated between these people and the fire department. And the fire department knew fully well that they were going to be setting the fires. Which I might add, makes them accomplices to criminal activities. But you know, in a country where they don't even uphold the law, what do you expect? What do you expect the repercussions to be for that? Where these Masons can literally, you know, break the laws and do whatever they want with no repercussions, including damaging property and being accomplices to gross criminal acts. So anyway, no question now, in hindsight, I know that the church being set on fire was in coordination, and of course that these wonderful people from the fire department were 100% in on that too. And then what do? Well, the fine upstanding people from the Canadian media then come in and say, brave heroes from fire department battle to put out church fire. You know what it's a total inversion of everything that is going on, because they knew that these fires were going to be set. Just like what happens is when people start to catch on a little bit to Freemasonry's involvement in these things, because the media are completely controlled and coordinate these things and cover these things up and deceive about what's going on, they will send people out who are paid, who are their own people, who work for the state, to damage or set fires to Masonic lodges. And then they'll plant stories in the media, and all of the Canadian media organizations will put these stories out, these lies, that somehow this is some person who you know, it's to present people who expose the corruption of Freemasonry as violent or whatever, because this is what they have to do. They always have to deceive and use their own people to cause chaos and then blame it on others. So they'll send their own people who are paid to cause damage. Then the media reports on it and presents it in a way that makes it seem like, well, oh, Freemasonry is all, you know, people are... They're playing, it's essentially to let them play the victims while they themselves are perpetrating all of these crimes. So no different with the fire department and these church burnings, where they completely know about it. They're Masons, they hate Christianity, but they have to play it off, you know, by means of deceit, the way they do absolutely everything. So don't be fooled by any of these people in the police or the fire department when they sometimes pretend to be empathetic or professional. They have no empathy. They're psychopaths who would literally sell out their own relatives. They would sell their own relatives down the river for the most flimsy material gain. They're deranged people, and they've been raised, a lot of them, in families through the DeMolay Society, which is the brainwashing organization for children of Freemasons. They've been raised with this mentality. So they've been brainwashed into normalizing this mentality, a psychopath mentality, no empathy, only caring about yourself and material gain, and your criminal Masonic brothers, always covering up for your criminal Masonic brothers. Kidding me, shuttle bus again. Crap. I just got here to the station. Look at this. Constable on site right away. This constable on site right away. This is here. So you can see that there. Special constable just drove up just as you saw the other day. They pulled up just the moment I left my workplace as I left. So continued creepy stalking from those weird psychopaths. Apparently the trains aren't running on Saturday now. Looks like it. And as you can see, he just arrived as I arrived here, and he's just gonna park over there and sit and do nothing, as they usually do. Let's wait here. Shuttle bus. Yeah, you can see the constable car there. It just pulled in just as I went to the get my ticket there. You can see how there's hardly anyone here also on Saturday. You can see over there. Let's see here. For some reason they've got the trains shut down on Saturdays now. I don't know why. Is the shuttle bus here? Tunney's pasture? Okay, it is here. Let's go.
Station Tunney's pasture.
Excuse me, just wanted to ask, is it going to be every Saturday that the train shut down, or is that just temporary?
No, just temporary.
Okay, thanks.
They're doing maintenance.
Oh, thanks, thanks.
Check it out, look, we've got here security right as I arrive here. You see this here? As soon as I get here, the security guard's standing out here. That's what I predicted too, the other time too. They're just going to stand there until the bus comes here. Stand over there, you can see. Standing there doing nothing as usual as I arrive. So you can see, as soon as I get to the, right as I enter the train station there, a special constable drives up and goes over, parks on the park corner. And idles there, and then as soon as I get on the bus, so he's only there for a matter of minutes. The bus pulls up, I get on, and he drives away. Here's another constable here, a second one here. And then you see, as soon as I arrive here, they have the security position standing outside. Look at how many people are here. There's nobody here, and then they have security come and stand out here as I arrive, as I get here. Let's see that there. Yeah, that was great. They're doing hard work as well, you can see. So they had them standing out there. There's nobody out here at all. If you're doing a patrol, you'd have actually done a proper patrol, right? You wouldn't just go and stand by the door. So they're told to come and stand out there as I arrive. And then, like I said before, I stopped coming this route just because they were sending security guards all the time, making it very obvious. So I was taking the bus from a different route home, and as you can see, Saturday morning, there's not many people here. It's all quiet. It's early Saturday morning. And then, so yeah, just to reiterate there, so as soon as I go into the station there, a constable car pulls up, parks on the far end, so I couldn't see who it was. That's why he parked over there. And then sits there and does nothing for a few minutes. The bus pulls up. As soon as I get on the bus, the constable drives away. So you can see 100% he was there for no legitimate reason and just stalking. As was the case earlier this week when they drove up literally right as I left my workplace in front of me. So continued stalking and harassment from those creeps. So, and then here as I arrive, as I figured would be the case, they have security just standing out here by the doors looking over. And they've got back in now because you can only pull that off for so long when there's nobody out here, right? If you're going to do a patrol, you would actually check the entire exterior area. They weren't actually doing a patrol, which is what you would be doing, unless you've been told to just do that, right? What they did there, so. But yeah, they're like slaves too, the security guards here. They literally have to do what they're told like slaves. And so when I come through here, they always have them show up. Even though the only reason I'm even coming here is just to get the bus home. And I wouldn't even be coming this route, but they had the train shut down today, so I had to get a shuttle bus from the one train station that I usually go to, and then come here. And then as soon as I get here, they get security guards, as you can see, standing out there. Police right there. Car number 24. Car number 24, the police. I think the body camera catch that. I caught it with the glasses for sure. Yeah, car number 24, just as I'm waiting for the bus here. Number 24. Car number 24, the police. I think the body camera catch that. I caught it with the glasses for sure. Yeah, car number 24, just as I'm waiting for the bus here. Driving by to stalk and intimidate them. See, I got no police here in Almer. And car number 24. As you can see, there's not many people around. It's all quiet, but they're driving by me here, just so you can see it's clearly intentional, as it's been intentional for over 2 years with these creeps. There's a one headlight car, so you just saw the police pass there, and here's a person driving at night with one headlight on. You just saw the police pass by, so obviously they're not doing their jobs and enforcing the law as usual. Surprise, surprise. Yeah, one headlight there at nighttime. It's against the law to be driving that way, but why would the police actually be enforcing the laws in this country, right? Why would they do that? I mean, so pretty much like I said before, it's not an exaggeration to say it is a total inversion, everything that they do. They do the exact opposite of everything you're told that they do. They don't enforce the laws at all. In fact, they protect criminals and allow criminal organizations to operate. Down from street level gangs all the way up to organized crime. Closed after There it is, sir. See this? Just waiting at the grocery store. Something completely fake, obviously. Police, they showed up last night too. So there they are. Now they've turned it off, let's see. See, they just turned it off while they passed here. The stalking police. And you could hear it stopped now as they passed. So, misusing the siren to harass and intimidate and just generally stalk. What's this now? Is this another one? Let's see here. Yeah, look at this crap. Yeah. So notice the police car turned it off as it went past. And now that one turns it on right here. Now turns it off again. So it's just turning it on just as it comes in front of where I am. Same thing the police car did there too. So you can see that very clear. Ridiculous. That's what your first responders are doing. Well, they could be doing something productive. There you go. It's just as I'm about to go into the grocery store too. They had that clown show timed perfectly for 8 a.m. when the doors open. Where are they going now? They're going to come around here? These clowns. The Masonic stalking first responders.